Welcome into Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Meghan Payton. It is Victory Monday for Seattle. Guys, it has been a sec. By the way, if you are not already subscribed to Seahawks Today, we're not like the big national media companies that are going to stop talking about Seattle. We're here to talk Seahawks all season long. So go to youtube.com/Seahawks TV, press the red button, whatever's easier. But if you love your Seahawks, no matter what, make sure you are subscribed to our channel. And for once, the post-game reactions from Pete Carroll, a little bit more positive. I mean, the Seahawks, playoffs or not, they needed this win just for the confidence of these players, the confidence of these coaches. And so Pete Carroll went on the radio show that he does every post-game, every Monday morning. And he did say, by the way, Seahawks are getting their COVID-19 booster shots today. Kind of interesting to think about. Seahawks have actually been probably the best as far as controlling the virus. Last year they didn't have one positive case. This year they've only had one with Gerald Everett, but they're getting their booster shots, hoping that they don't get too sick or have any side effects for them so they can be good to go for next week. We've got some injury updates for you. Nothing too notable. I mean, obviously, we all want to know what's going on with Jamal Adams. I wish I had a better update. Pete Carroll said we should know more by the end of day. So if you're watching this video when we posted it, today's Monday, we should know more by this afternoon. Right now, we are still wondering how long, if any time, he's going to miss. Went out with a shoulder injury. This would be a huge loss for Seattle. Now, I know right now, that's not their biggest concern as far as each individual player, but Jamal Adams struggled a little bit early on in the season. I feel like he's definitely stepped up and had a major role into the few Seahawks wins that they have had. Quandre Diggs has also been a big help to the Seahawks defense. DJ Reed improving. When we look at this DB room, Sidney Jones has had to take on more of a role with Trey Brown out. Haven't seen much from Bless Austin, but, losing Jamal Adams would be hard for the Seahawks if they are going to have any chance at making the playoffs, which we know is a 2.5% chance. We're going to talk more about that later, but they can't do it, I don't think, without Jamal Adams. They need him back. But we've got some other injury updates for you, a little bit positive stuff. Kyle Fuller, who went out with, we didn't know if it was an ankle injury. We did find out it was a calf injury, just a bruise. So Pete Carroll said this is a good sign. Obviously, a lot better than an ankle sprain or anything like that. Brandon Shell with the shoulder injury. Pete Carroll said he's iffy. The way he talked in the radio show, it sounded as if, they're going to try to let him rest this week. I'd be surprised if we see him playing on Sunday. And Damian Lewis, he said he has a legit shot. He's dealing with that elbow injury. It would be nice for Seattle to have him on Sunday. So, of course, we'll keep you updated on injuries. I know you guys want to hear about Jamal Adams. We will be the first to let you know once we find out anything. Bob Condotta, who covers the Seahawks, he had an interesting tweet earlier today talking about PFF grades on the offensive side for Seattle. Here are just some quick stats he found out. Travis Homer, the highest offensive grade PFF with 82.5. Now, he had a great game. I'm so excited for him. Obviously, if you missed it, the fake punt, run it back, 73 yards, touchdown. Congratulations to him. D. Eskridge, 77.9. Dwayne Brown at 76.5. Lockett at 72. And Metcalf at 71.3. Their bottom three, their new addition, Adrian Peterson. He was at 39.8. Curran at 28.6. And Gerald Everett at 28.4. We're going to talk about some of these guys more specifically, but it's a happy day in Seattle. They got a win. They got not only a win, but they got a huge divisional win against the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers were absolutely favored to win this game. Seahawks end up coming up on top. I think, this is just really good for the team. It's really good for Seattle fans. I feel happy that they at least can feel a little bit more encouraged. So we're going to talk more about overreactions, but who do you guys think stood out in Sunday's game? Who really stepped up, had a better game? This is our pinned comment for today's show. So if you do get the ad break right here, right now, go down, let me know what you think. Let's debate it in the comments, and I'll give you guys mine after the break. So this might be cliche, but I'm going to say that Russell Wilson stood out. Russell Wilson was obviously the guy that I think all Seahawks fans were most concerned about ever since he returned from that finger injury, just not looking exactly like Russ. So this actually leads me into our first overreaction. It is Overreaction Monday, so we are going to talk Week 13 overreactions. The first one being Russ back to Russ. And as I was saying, a guy that stood out, I'd say Russell Wilson stood out. I think he definitely improved going into this game. It was a big conversation. These last few games, since he returned from injury, he was inaccurate. He was overthrowing the ball. He could not connect with DK. He couldn't really connect with Lockett either. I think we saw a more accurate, more improved Russell Wilson on Sunday. 30 out of 37 attempts, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception that was not his fault at all. We're going to talk about that interception later in this video. And he had a rating of 99.4. So starting to look a little bit like the guy we know and love. I mean, compared to the game against Washington in Week 12. Now, this is where stats can be a little bit misleading. So if you played Russell in fantasy on Week 12, you probably got some good points. But in reality, he didn't have a fantastic game. Yes, he put up 247 yards, but that was kind of in garbage time, last minute, trying to get extra points. 2 touchdowns, but he was 20 out of 31. So this is where I think the biggest difference is. His accuracy changed. He was much more accurate in Sunday's game than he was in the past few weeks after returning from his injury. I think the big thing we saw was his ability to connect with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. It's very rare that both of these guys have a good game together at the same time. They both had 8 targets. Lockett, 7 receptions. Metcalf, 5. Longest for Lockett was 16. The longest for DK was 33. And Lockett, of course, had that 1 touchdown. So if you can get the ball in the hands of DK and Tyler Lockett, you're in a better chance of winning this game. And that's what Russell Wilson did. So I think that Seahawks fan can feel more encouraged. So I am going to ask you guys this. How would you grade Russell Wilson's Week 13 performance? Let's scale this A, B, C, D, F. Go to the comments right now. If you think it was perfect, you can give it an A. It's definitely not an F. I know that. It's somewhere in between. So go down and let me know what you think. All right, next overreaction we have, Week 13, is Rashaad Penny deserves to be running back number 1. Now, this one's a hard topic because we've talked a lot about Rashaad Penny, and we haven't really talked about him in a positive way. This is a guy that has not, maybe shown his ability. This is someone that many Seahawks fans have said he was a waste of a draft pick. But I'll say this, it worked on Sunday with Rashaad Penny. We're going to need to see more in order to determine whether or not he should be an RB1 for the Seahawks, but he did look good. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries, so it was good to see him have a decent game. I mean, pretty good game against the 49ers. 10 carries, 35 yards, 1 reception for 27 yards. So much more than we've seen of Penny in the past. If he can do this, I'd say Seahawks should at least keep him on the roster. Adrian Peterson, the guy we were all waiting to see from, obviously he's a little bit older. He's not in his prime anymore. So against San Fran, he had 11 carries, 16 yards, 1 touchdown, but he did fumble the ball. Luckily, it was recovered by Will Dissly, I believe. Unfortunately, I think Adrian Peterson is a guy that, yes, it's great. You add him on the roster, sure, but I don't think it's going to be a game changer for Seattle. Now, if you guys have not subscribed to Seahawks Today, now is the time to do so because unlike other places, we are here to keep you updated all season long. I don't care if they're making the playoffs this year or if they're not. Let's be true fans. Stay with it here at Seahawks Today. I promise you guys we'll have updates nonstop. And by the way, this is the channel where it's up to you guys. If you guys want to talk about something specific, go down to the comments. Let me know. If you want to talk draft, if you want to talk free agency, if you want to talk playoff chances, hey, 2.5%, more than 0. So go to the comments right now. Let us know what you want us to talk about on Seahawks Today. But let's get back into our overreactions. Speaking of, are the playoff hopes back for Seattle? Now, this is an overreaction, and I'm sorry, they're probably not back. They are technically still there, though. And Pete Carroll, he's not shutting it down right now. He said in his press conference, we ain't dead yet. And hey, to be fair, they're not technically dead yet. They have a 2.5% chance of making the playoffs. Now, when we talk about this, I'll say, hey, the Seahawks could make the playoffs, but a lot would have to happen. The Seahawks would need to win out the rest of the year, and they would definitely need some help from other teams as well. Right now, the Eagles sitting at 6-6. The Saints, Vikings, Panthers, and Falcons, they are all at 5-7. Not to mention the Giants and Bears, they are sitting at the same record as Seattle. That's 4-8. But unfortunately, the Giants and the Bears, they would win the tiebreaker against Seattle right now. So a lot would have to work in Seahawks' favor. Obviously, winning games, that's the only thing that the Seahawks can control. But hey, crazy things happen in the NFL. It's the National Football League. You never know what's going to happen. I'm not saying that I think it will, but I'm saying that there is technically still a chance. Now, guys, whether the Seahawks make the playoffs or they don't this year, if you're a true fan, you're going to still wear Seahawks gear. And I've got a great deal for you guys. If you go to chatsports.com/Seahawks vest, you can get this really cool Darius Rucker collection Seahawks vest. I'm from Texas. I'm a country girl. I love Darius Rucker, and I love that he partnered up with Fanatics to make this crazy cool Seahawks vest. It is 50% off, and it will arrive by Christmas. Guys, if you're online shopping, which who's going in person to shop anymore? It's so much easier online. Get this ordered now, because I'm telling you, things will arrive after Christmas, and you're going to have to be that person that explains, sorry, your Christmas gift is coming in 2 weeks late. Go right now, chatsports.com/Seahawks vest. Get 50% off this Darius Rucker vest. Alrighty, guys, our next and last overreaction for today's show is that Gerald Everett needs to improve. His performance was very surprising to me, because Gerald Everett's a guy that I've been sticking up for. I've been saying we need to see more of him. We need Russ to target him more, and he struggled last week in this game against the 49ers. 3 turnovers cannot happen, and I know technically he had 2 fumbles, but that interception was absolutely his fault. And Gerald Everett, he's going to have to improve. He left that game, and I guarantee you he was not happy. Most of this team was happy because they left with a win, but Gerald Everett did not have probably a good ride home. The turnover battle is a huge factor of an outcome of a game. We talk about this all the time. It determines games. I think it can be a 70% chance of winning a game if you can win the turnover battle. He cost the Seahawks a touchdown on that interception. It was crazy. You know, Russell Wilson was accurate, threw a great pass. It goes in the hands of Gerald Everett. He tips it off. 49ers get it. And, you know, I think that obviously caused a problem. Luckily, Seahawks win. But if they wouldn't have won, I bet Gerald Everett would have been the guy you would have blamed for that loss. He also had that bad goal line fumble. So between 2 fumbles and causing an interception, it's not great for Gerald Everett. Now, I'm not saying, hey, he had 1 bad game, get rid of him. That's an overreaction for sure. I think he is a good player, but he's got to clean some of that stuff up. And now, Gerald Everett is a guy that I think the Seahawks should be utilizing still. So I'm not going to say, hey, he had a bad game, they need to, move on or try to do something different with him. He just needs to get back to normal, relax a little bit, and not create that many turnovers. So just to recap here on our Week 13 overreactions, we've got Russ back to Russ. We've got Rashaad Penny deserves to be running back number 1. Are the playoff hopes back for Seattle? And Gerald Everett needs to improve. These are just some of the overreactions that I have seen going around Seattle. But now's the time to let me know, hey, what else are people saying? What else overreactions, reactions to the game do you guys have? And again, make sure you guys are subscribed to Seahawks Today.